Welcome back to the grind for this guide on Act 7.3, quest number 5 lane with Be Like Water, Polka Dot Power, Rise to Power, and Stun Vulnerability. The problem is every time you stun the opponent, they're going to get a passive unblockable effect that lasts for, I believe it's 10 seconds, and so that's going to make things a little annoying. Tigra is a nice champion to use for this because Tigra's playstyle does not depend on parrying the opponent to get their ins. You can just repeatedly heavy lock opponents in the corner and then bait out special attacks, get yourself close, and phase hits of the special attack and just keep cycling through. Now I know Tigra is a difficult champion to play. Not a lot of players rely on her for a lot of things, so we're not going to solo this whole lane with Tigra, but we are going to use her for a few fights because I'm doing my best to learn to use her a little bit more and play her a little bit better, and so we are going to see her a couple times here. But we're also going to take a look at this fight with Dr. Doom. Now Dr. Doom's a nice option for this because you can give the opponent almost a full bar of power with a 5-hit combo because you can chain your heavy on. So once you get them over a bar of power, bait out a special attack, you go in for a 5-hit combo ending with a heavy attack, and it will push them over a bar of power again. And you can do this several times before they actually end up with less than a bar of power after your heavy attack. And likely you'll be able to get other ins. And I like to bait out heavy attacks as well. Now, Dr. Doom's also nice for this because he has power control, and power can be an annoying part of this matchup as well, because when you knock the opponent down for 4 seconds when they hit into your block, they're going to gain power, and this can be a little bit annoying. So Dr. Doom works very well for this because of multiple reasons, and this fight did go a little bit slow with Dr. Doom, so we skipped a bunch of it, but I did want to highlight a few of those things that make him nice and ways that he doesn't rely on the parry as frequently. Another option is to use a champion that can bypass the unblockable passive in some degree, but Mole Man not only can bypass unblockable, he also is great for this fight with Spider-Man because he counters evade as long as you stay below 10 monster mass and out of frenzy, I believe is the requirements for it. And when you have an unblockable attack that you block, you can actually block it, but it consumes all your monster mass. And we're going to show that in this clip here. So now we parried him and we threw a heavy attack against the monster mass, and then we took a blocked hit, but it did not go through the block. And then we kind of got a weird in, and now we're just kind of waiting till he attacks so we can throw off our special too. Now, you don't do as much damage when you're not in frenzy, but it's better to just be sure you can counter evade because you can't rely on your parries. And we whiffed a heavy attack there, trying to get 2 in a row. So we're not going to do that again. So now I parried to throw off a heavy attack, and we have to deal with this unblockable buff. Now I can just kind of slow play around and wait for it to fall off, and I think that's actually what happened here. But another thing that's great about Mole Man is he can get ins without parrying. If you have monster mass and hold block and the opponent attacks into your block, you're going to get an unstoppable buff. And this allows you to then counter in between the 2 attacks of the opponent so that you don't have to worry about parrying. And this can be a very great way to get through matchups like this where you can't rely as much on parry. So Mole Man is a great option for this lane. Now Tigra, we're going to go in again with Tigra, against this Airwalker. And this actually works out quite well because Airwalker Special 1 is very easy to counter with Tigra. The first hit is a very close range slash, and then you have plenty of time to hold heavy before the next part of his Special 1, that second hit. So now we build up to Special 2, and that first Special 2 takes us to about 50%, and now we're skipping ahead again, throwing off Special 1s to get our stances back up, and then going back into that Tiger style, countering with heavies and throwing as much heavies as we can, and then some big damage, way overkill with that last Special 2. But man, Tigra is so much fun to play. I'm really enjoying using her more. Now, I came in with Black Widow Deadly Origin because I've been trying to force myself to use her more because she's a lot of fun, and I'm trying to see where I can use her in more situations. And unfortunately, she doesn't really have a whole lot to offer as far as not requiring to parry. So if you do parry, you kind of have to slow play it. She has a lot of damage, so I was kind of hoping just to kind of play around the node and out damage and not have to worry about it. But we're having some trouble baiting special attacks here. He's not really wanting to throw it off as often as I would like him to, and then we ended up making some mistakes along the way that cost us. Now he is unblockable right now because I did parry, so we are trying to delay that, not parrying, trying to bait a special attack, but he's not doing it yet again. So I get closer and closer to my side of the battlefield, and again it takes time to bait it out. and he finally threw it, and then I go for an intercept, and I ended up dying. So I just had to finish that fight off with Mole Man, who carried some fights quite well with this. So I countered with a heavy to get some monster mass, and then you can go in and just hold heavy to get your ins as well, or you can parry and heavy so that you get a little bit more monster mass that way, and you don't have to worry about it, because if you do get hit by an unblockable hit, then you just lose your monster mass, but you can just build it up again. Now Tigra is who we're using against this Medusa fight, and Tigra works well because you can lock down all of her fury buffs if you can keep that neutralize active constantly. However, the problem is I have never used Tigra against Medusa before, so I was having trouble getting used to countering her special attacks, and at one point I mess up with countering her heavy attack. But again, you can see that first special 2 brings his opponent below 50% health, which is crazy amounts of damage for this level of content. So here we go, countering that heavy attack, getting more ruptures stacked up, but now we've lost our charges, so we're going to have to throw off, unfortunately we went up past 2 bars of power, so we're going to have to throw off a special 3 instead to get those charges back, those passive charges back active again. So now she has 3 Fury, so I'm trying to be careful that I do not get auto blocked. We throw off the special 3 and get our both of our passives active. We counter a heavy attack to stack up some ruptures and get some power going and some damage going, and then I mess up countering this special 1, unfortunately, take some damage and get back into the corner, and somehow messed up countering that as well and ended up dying. So we ended up having to finish off that fight with another champion. But it was so close to finishing, it wasn't that big of a deal. Now this last fight on the path is against Yellow Jacket, and we're bringing back in our Mole Man because he has done us well for the past couple of fights that we've used him in, and we just have to be careful about Yellow Jacket special 1 because we do not want to get clipped by it. However, if we do, as long as we're not in frenzy, we will be able to purify it. But again, you don't want to take any risks in these fights because the damage can be pretty crazy at times. So now what we are doing is we have 4 monster mass, and we're playing it pretty slow. I parry in heavy to build up a little bit more monster mass, and now I can go into frenzy. I don't need to worry about preventing evade, so we can go into frenzy for the extra crits and bleeds. And now we're gonna try to prevent him from throwing a special 1, hold block, so we get that unstoppable, and we can counter into him and not have to worry about parrying, and then we can get lots of bleed damage, build up to our special 2 here, counter that special attack, and go into a big special 2. And we're not going to watch the entire fight because it's a lot of the same, but I really hope that this video was helpful. Let me know what your thoughts are, what champions you used, and I hope to see you in the next video.